Episode title: Why did humans build pyramids? The strange story behind ancient megastructures. Opening hook. Why did humans build pyramids? Why would an ancient civilization spend years, maybe decades, moving millions of stones across the desert? Why build something so massive, so precise, so difficult, that even today people still look at it and ask, how? Was it only for a king? Was it for religion? Was it for power? Was it a stairway to the heavens? Or was it something deeper? A message carved into stone, telling the future that this civilization once touched eternity. Across the world, humans built pyramids. In Egypt, in Mexico, in Sudan, in Mesopotamia, in Central America. Different cultures, different gods, different languages, different centuries. And yet, again and again, the same shape rises from the earth. A wide base, a pointed summit, a structure reaching upward. Tonight we are going back into the desert. Back before machines, before cranes, before steel towers, before modern engineering. We are going to ask one of history's biggest questions. Why did humans build pyramids? And the answer is not just about stone. It is about death, power, the sky, the gods, the sun, the afterlife, and the human desire to be remembered forever. This is 10,000 Why Questions. Why did humans build pyramids? Question 1. Why does the pyramid shape feel so powerful? Before we talk about Egypt, before we talk about pharaohs, before we talk about hidden chambers, we must first ask a simpler question. Why a pyramid? Why not a cube? Why not a tower? Why not a giant circle? The pyramid shape is one of the most stable shapes humans can build. It begins with a wide base, then slowly rises upward. The weight spreads down and outward. The higher it goes, the smaller it becomes. This makes the structure strong. A tall, straight tower can fall more easily. A pyramid seems to grow from the ground itself. It looks permanent. It looks ancient even when it is new. But the shape is not only practical. It is symbolic. A pyramid points upward. From earth to sky. From humans to gods. From death to eternity. To ancient people, the sky was not empty. The sky was alive. The sun moved across it every day. Stars appeared every night. Storms came from it. Light came from it. Time came from it. So a structure that reached toward the sky could feel like a bridge. A place where the human world touched the divine world. That is why the pyramid shape appears in different cultures. Not because every civilization copied one another, but because the shape answers a deep human instinct. Build wide. Rise high. Touch the sky. Leave something behind. A pyramid is not just architecture. It is ambition made visible. It is humanity saying, we were here, and we wanted the heavens to know. Question 2. Why did the ancient Egyptians build pyramids? The most famous pyramids in the world are in Egypt. And the most famous of all stand at Giza. They rise from the desert like mountains made by human hands. The Great Pyramid, the Pyramid of Khafre, the Pyramid of Menkaure, guarded by the Sphinx, watched by the sun, surrounded by sand, silence, and questions. So why did ancient Egyptians build them? At the center of the answer is the pharaoh. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was not simply a political ruler. He was connected to the gods. He represented divine order on earth. His life mattered, but his death mattered too. The Egyptians believed death was not the end. It was a transition, a journey into the afterlife. And for Pharaoh, that journey was cosmic. The pyramid was designed as part of that journey. It was a tomb, but not an ordinary tomb. It was a sacred machine of memory, religion, power, and eternity. Inside and around the pyramid complex, everything had meaning. Burial chambers, passageways, temples, causeways, Offerings, ritual spaces. The body had to be preserved. The name had to be remembered. The spirit had to continue. The pharaoh had to rise again in the next world. So the pyramid was not only a grave. It was a monument to transformation. A place where a dead king could become eternal. To us, the pyramid looks like stone. To them, it may have looked like a path to forever. Question 3. Why was the afterlife so important? To understand pyramids, you must understand how ancient Egyptians saw death. For many modern people, death is an ending. A disappearance. A final silence. But for ancient Egyptians, death was a doorway. Life could continue after death. If the proper preparations were made. The body mattered. The name mattered. The rituals mattered. The tomb mattered. Food, tools, jewelry, statues, and sacred objects could be placed with the dead because the next world was imagined as a continuation of existence. The dead person still needed support, protection, identity, a preserved body, a remembered name. This is why mummification became so important. The body was treated carefully because it was connected to the soul's journey. If the body decayed completely, if the name was erased, if the tomb was destroyed, then the person's eternal existence could be threatened. Now imagine this belief applied to a pharaoh. Not just a person, a king, a divine ruler, a symbol of order. His afterlife was not only personal, it was political, religious, cosmic. The pyramid helped protect that journey. It made the king's death visible to the entire land. It told the people, the pharaoh has not vanished. He has risen. He still belongs to eternity. That is why pyramids were built so large. They were not designed only for the eyes of the living. They were designed for the gods, for the dead, for the sun, for the stars, and for time itself. Question 4. Why did they build so big? A small tomb could hold a body. A simple chamber could hide treasure. So why build something as enormous as a pyramid? Why use so many stones? Why demand so much labor? Why create a monument visible from miles away? Because size has power. A massive structure changes how people feel. When you stand before something huge, you feel small. That feeling is not accidental. Ancient monuments often use scale to create awe. The pyramid was a message. To the people it said, the pharaoh is powerful. To neighboring lands it said, this kingdom is organized. To the gods it said, we honor the divine. To the future it said, remember us. Building big also required something extraordinary. Not just muscle, organization, planning, food supply, administration, geometry, leadership, communication, stone cutting, transportation, labor teams, ritual knowledge. A pyramid was proof that the state could control time, resources, and people. It was not only an object. It was a national project. Every stone carried more than weight. It carried belief. It carried authority. It carried the idea that one ruler could command a civilization to build a mountain. This is what makes pyramids so powerful. They are not just evidence of engineering. They are evidence of society. A pyramid tells us that ancient Egypt was not primitive. It was complex, disciplined, ambitious, and capable of turning an impossible idea into stone. Question 5. Were the pyramids built by slaves? For a long time, movies and popular stories showed the pyramids being built by suffering slaves. Endless lines of people, whips, chains, forced labor under a burning sun. It is a dramatic image. But history is often more complicated than drama. Modern archaeology has changed the way many scholars understand the pyramid builders. Evidence from workers' villages, food remains, graves, and organization suggests that the builders were not simply enslaved people in the Hollywood sense. They were organized laborers. Some were skilled workers. Some may have been seasonal laborers. Some may have been attached to state service. They had food, housing, medical care, team identities, work structures. This does not mean the work was easy. It was brutal, heavy, dangerous, exhausting. The desert sun was real. The stone was real. The labor was real. But the idea of pyramids being built only by chained slaves is too simple. The truth may be even more impressive. Because if the pyramids were built by organized labor, then they show something astonishing. Not a miracle, not aliens, not magic, but a society capable of planning on a massive scale. Thousands of people working toward one goal. Quarries producing stone. Boats moving materials. Officials counting supplies. Cooks feeding workers. Craftsmen shaping blocks. Priests performing rituals. Engineers solving problems. A pyramid was not built by one kind of person. It was built by a civilization that is more powerful than the myth. Question 6. How did they move the stones? This may be the question people ask most. How did ancient workers move giant stones without modern machines? No diesel cranes. No trucks. No electric saws. No steel cables. And yet, the stones moved. The pyramid rose. How? The honest answer is that scholars still debate many details. But the broad answer is not supernatural. It is logistics. Human strength. Simple machines. Ramps. Sledges. Levers. Water. Ropes. Wood. Planning. Some blocks were quarried near the pyramid site. Other materials, such as higher quality limestone or granite, came from farther away. Heavy stones could be dragged on sledges. Workers may have used water to reduce friction on sand. Materials could move along the Nile by boat when conditions allowed. At the construction site, ramps may have helped raise blocks upward. Were the ramps straight? Zigzagging? Spiral? Internal? External? Different theories exist, and different pyramids may have used different methods. But one thing is clear. The builders did not need impossible technology. They needed patience, mathematics, manpower, organization, and a deep understanding of materials. A modern person may look at a 2-ton stone and think, impossible. But an ancient engineer might see a different problem. How many workers? How much rope? What slope? What surface? What rhythm? How much water? How many days? The pyramid was not one impossible act. It was millions of difficult acts, repeated with discipline. That is how humans build wonders. Not by defeating nature in one moment, but by negotiating with it. Stone by stone. Question 7. Why are the pyramids aligned so precisely? One of the most fascinating things about the pyramids is their orientation. Many Egyptian pyramids show careful alignment with directions, especially north, south, east, and west. Why did this matter? In the ancient world, direction was sacred. The sun rose in the east. The sun set in the west. The stars moved through the night. The Nile shaped the land. The desert marked the edge of life and death. For ancient Egyptians, the universe had order. And architecture could reflect that order. A pyramid was not placed randomly. It belonged to a cosmic map. The sides, passages, temples, and surrounding structures could carry meaning connected to the sun, stars, rebirth, and royal power. The precision also shows careful observation. Ancient Egyptians watched the sky. They understood cycles. They tracked shadows. They used stars. They understood that the heavens moved in patterns. When people say ancient civilizations were primitive, monuments like the pyramids prove otherwise. You do not align massive stone structures by accident. You need measurement, planning, correction, coordination. The pyramid was an earthly object, but it was designed with the sky in mind. That is why it still feels mysterious. It stands on the ground. but its meaning points upward. The stones belong to earth. The idea belongs to the heavens. Question 8. Why did pyramids exist outside Egypt too? Egyptian pyramids are the most famous. But Egypt was not the only place where humans built pyramid-like structures. In Mesoamerica, civilizations built stepped pyramids and temple platforms. The Maya, the Aztecs, the people of Teotihuacan. In Mesopotamia, ziggurats rose as massive step temple structures. In Sudan, the Kingdom of Kush built pyramids too. Around the world, the shape appears again and again. But does that mean everyone copied Egypt? Not necessarily. The pyramid shape is practical. It is stable. It rises naturally from a wide base. If a civilization wants to build high with stone, earth, or brick, a stepped or sloped pyramid is one of the most logical shapes. But the meaning can be different. In Egypt, pyramids were strongly connected with royal tombs and the afterlife. In Mesoamerica, many pyramid structures functioned as temple platforms, ritual spaces, and sacred centers. In Mesopotamia, ziggurats were associated with temples and divine connection. Same general shape, different cultural meaning. This is one of the most interesting things about human history. Different people can arrive at similar forms for different reasons. A pyramid can be a tomb, a temple, a mountain, a platform, a symbol of the sun, a symbol of power, a sacred landscape, a place of sacrifice, a stairway between worlds. The shape is universal, but the story inside the shape changes. That is why pyramids are not one mystery. They are many mysteries wearing the same silhouette. Question 9. Why do people think aliens built the pyramids? Whenever humans face something extraordinary, some people look for an extraordinary explanation. The pyramids are massive, precise, ancient, difficult to understand. So the question appears again and again. Did aliens build them? The short answer is no. There is no solid evidence that aliens built the pyramids. The stronger explanation is human skill, human labor, human planning, human belief. But why does the alien idea remain popular? Because people underestimate ancient humans. They imagine the past is simple, primitive, weak. They look at modern machines and think, if we need machines today, ancient people could not have built this. But that is a mistake. Ancient people were not less intelligent than us. They had different tools, different limits, different priorities, different time. A modern company may ask, can we build this quickly and cheaply? An ancient kingdom might ask, can we build this for eternity? The pyramids seem impossible because we imagine building them with modern assumptions. Modern speed, modern cost, modern labor laws, modern machines, modern schedules. But ancient states worked differently. They could organize labor around religion, agriculture, taxation, and royal authority. They could spend enormous effort on sacred projects. They could build for centuries of memory. The alien theory sounds exciting, but the human truth is more inspiring. Because if humans built the pyramids, then the mystery is not whether aliens came down from the sky. The mystery is how far humans can go when belief, power, and organization point in the same direction. Question 10. Why did pyramid building change over time? If pyramids were so powerful, why did Egyptian pharaohs eventually stop building the same kind of giant pyramids? Why did later rulers choose hidden tombs, like those in the Valley of the Kings? The answer involves many factors: cost, security, religious change, political change, practical experience. A pyramid is impossible to hide. That is part of its power, but it is also part of its weakness. A giant pyramid announces, there is a royal tomb here. There may be treasure here. Come find it. Over time, tomb robbery became a serious problem. Even massive stone could not always protect the dead. So later Egyptian rulers began choosing more hidden burial places. Underground tombs, secret valleys, decorated chambers cut into rock. The goal remained similar: to prepare for the afterlife, to preserve royal identity, to protect the king's journey. But the strategy changed. Instead of saying, "Look at my eternal monument," the tomb began to whisper, "Find me if you can." This shows that ancient Egyptian burial practices were not frozen in time. They evolved. They adapted. They responded to danger, belief, economy, and politics. A pyramid is not only a monument. It is a solution to a problem. And when the problem changed, the solution changed too. That is one reason history is so fascinating. Even the most eternal-looking things are part of changing human decisions. Question 11. What secrets are still inside the Great Pyramid? The Great Pyramid of Khufu has been studied for centuries. Explored, measured, mapped, photographed, scanned, written about, filmed, debated. And yet, it still has secrets. Modern technology has allowed researchers to look inside ancient stone without breaking it apart. One famous method uses particles called muons. These particles come from cosmic rays. They pass through stone in different ways depending on density. By measuring how muons move through the pyramid, scientists can detect hidden spaces or voids. In recent years, researchers reported a large void inside the Great Pyramid. Its exact purpose remains unknown. Is it a structural feature? A relieving space? A hidden chamber? A construction gap? Something symbolic? We do not yet know. And that is the exciting part. The Great Pyramid is not finished speaking. It has stood for thousands of years. And still modern science is asking new questions. This is where ancient history and future technology meet. A monument built with stone, rope, ramps, and human hands is now being studied with particle physics. The past is not dead. It is being scanned by the future. And each discovery reminds us that mystery does not always disappear with knowledge. Sometimes knowledge makes the mystery deeper. Because the more we learn about the pyramid, the more we realize how much planning, meaning, and complexity may still be hidden inside. Question 12. Why do pyramids still capture our imagination? Why do pyramids still attract millions of people? Why do they appear in movies, games, books, documentaries, conspiracy theories, logos, dreams, and nightmares? Why do we keep looking at them? Because pyramids do something rare. They make time visible. When you stand before a pyramid, you are standing before thousands of years. Kings died. Empires fell. Languages changed. Religions rose and disappeared. Cities grew. Wars happened. Machines were invented. The modern world arrived. And still, the pyramid remains. It is almost impossible not to feel something. Wonder, fear, curiosity, respect, a strange sadness. A pyramid reminds us that humans are temporary. But human effort can outlive us. It asks a silent question. What will remain after we are gone? Most people disappear from history. Most buildings collapse. Most names are forgotten. But the pyramid refuses to vanish. That is why it feels so powerful. It is not only an ancient structure. It is a challenge. A message from the dead to the living. They built this with limited tools, but unlimited belief. And thousands of years later, we are still asking why. Maybe that is the real purpose of a pyramid. Not only to preserve a king, but to preserve a question. Ending. So, why did humans build pyramids? Because the shape was strong. Because it reached toward the sky. Because ancient Egyptians believed death was not the end. Because pharaohs needed eternal monuments. Because religion, power, engineering, and memory came together in stone. Because civilizations wanted to connect earth with heaven. Because rulers wanted to be remembered. Because workers, planners, priests, and builders turned belief into architecture. And because humans have always wanted to leave something behind. A pyramid is more than a tomb. More than a monument. More than a mystery. It is the human fear of being forgotten. Turned into stone. The next time you see a pyramid, do not only ask how it was built. Ask why. Because the answer may reveal more than ancient Egypt. It may reveal something about all of us. This has been 10,000 Why Questions. Stay curious. Because sometimes the oldest stones on Earth still have the loudest voice.